What's up guys, Slickshot Games here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing my personal pick'em challenges for the Berlin Major that's going to be happening in a couple of days. So this is the challenger stage. And basically I'm going to be going through who I think is going to be making it through, who I think is going to be making it out undefeated, 3-0, and who is going to be making it out without even a win, going 0-3. Now, all these teams are thought to be here, but I'm going to be picking the ones that I believe are going to make it through. Again, these are my predictions, only my predictions on the knowledge I have on the game and the teams. And I think that it is impossible to know what's going to happen. Honestly, CS is so competitive that any of these teams could make it out. Any of these teams could choke and not even make it out when you thought they were. So right off the bat, we're going to get into this. Let's start off with the one I think is going to be going 3-0, undefeated. I have to go with Vitality. Pretty safe pick, but I think that they are the best French team right now, hands down. Currently second best team in the world, according to HLTV, statistically. Consistent against top teams. Have been slowly working their way up, and finally they made it to a point where they are a force to be reckoned with for sure. I look at Vitality, I look at the other teams, and I can't find one that Vitality wouldn't be able to beat at this point. They have Zywoo, one of the best players in the world right now. MBK, Apex, RPK, these French players that have been around since the beginning. And those are players that you have to look out for. That's why I think Vitality, pretty safe pick, go 3-0. I'm sure everybody's going to have it as this, but you got to go with the safe pick, right? All right, next I'm going to be moving on to the teams I think will advance. Let's start off with that. Then I'll discuss the ones that I don't think will and why. So, Furia. Furia is one of my top picks to make it through. In fact, even being a contender to go 3-0, in my opinion. When they're on their game, they're absolutely insane. They have some of the best Brazilian players right now. They are the best Brazilian team for sure. They were under the radar for a while, but then people started to see that this team is not to be messed around with, and they are insane, starting to beat top teams. Finally, they solidified themselves as a top team themselves. So, with that being said, I think they should have no problem if they're on their game. Now, you never know. I haven't seen them play in a while, but last I saw them, they were absolutely wrecking house. They were dominating. So I think they should be able to make it out for sure pretty easily. And even going 3-0. Alright, next I'm going to be going with Mousesports. A newly formed, newly formed team. Completely changed in their lineup except Chris J and Rops. They brought in Kerrigan. They brought in Woxic and ForZe. 3 really good players. And now they have Kerrigan, an in-game leader, insane, been around has so much experience, and being able to lead this squad of new up-and-coming players. Now, yeah, I know Rops has been around for a while, but someone like ForZe, right? And I would put Rops in that category as well. Kind of this insane aimer, right? You have him there, and he's been slowly working his way up. People recognize him now. People see that how good he really is, and that could be the same with ForZe. Once you unleash their full potential, that's when you really see these players really coming into their own. So I think Mousesports, they're pretty new and they're doing pretty good. Now this might be because they're new and teams don't know how to react against them, but I think that with the lineup that they have and the leadership of Kerrigan, they should have no problem making it out of the group stage. And honestly, is a pretty fun team to watch and see what's going to happen with them. Next, I'm going to be going with NRG. Look at their official government-like logo they've got here. Completely changed, but hey, I like it. The second best American squad, hands down, in my opinion. They have Cirque, they have Breezy, they have Tarek, right? And they just brought in Stanislaw to replace Daps, which I believe, in my opinion, is a really underrated player, Daps, and best of luck to him on Cloud9, but bringing in Stanislaw for this particular lineup, I think, was an upgrade. And honestly, they've showed time and time again that they are definitely not a team to sleep on. All right, they have so much experience and so much potential that I think that once they're able to consistently find their groove, I think they're already a top team, but they can do even better from here on out. So they should have no issue making it out of here either. Next, I'm going to be going with North, the Danish squad, whose logo is very similar to Furia's. But this Danish squad, they've been around. And honestly, they've been kind of inconsistent. But they're solid nonetheless. The Danes are crazy good at CS, clearly. Hence Australis, hence North, and they have Valde, insane player. They have AZ. They have what they need to progress forward and to be a top team. And they were a top team at one point, but they've started kind of falling down. They haven't had as good results, almost even barely making it here. But I think that now if they're able to maintain what they had, the special kind of group they had before, they should make it out of here, I believe. Next, I'm going to be going with G2 Esports, which, if you look at them on paper, they have two of the best French players ever to touch the game, Kenny S and Shocks. Yet they aren't the number one French team, and that is because there seems to have been this overall aura of not being able to find Kenny S's old style, his dominance. Now, recently, you see little specks of that. You see him dominating, but it's just not the same. But if he can find his groove and Shocks can maintain the form that he has always had and is able to lead the squad, I think that no problem. I think with that alone, they should be able to make it out of here. Probably make it out of there barely. I could see this team choking or having upsets, but on paper, they should be able to make it out. The last two are usually more elusive picks. I think these right here that I have right here are this relatively safe picks. These last two are going to be a little more out there, in my opinion. Going to go with Helraisers. I think that the CIS team is pretty solid. I think they have Oscar is an amazing player, Issa, Angel, these kind of overall solid players. Now, how consistent have they been? Not so consistent, but I think that they should really have. I don't know. I have a gut feeling that they're gonna make it through, and I'm just gonna go with that. And then I can after they do make it through, I can say, look, I told you. All right. After that, I'm gonna go with Tyloo. I'm a fan of Tyloo, honestly, but that's not why I'm gonna put them here. Okay, it kind of is, but let me explain. I think that Bentet, somebody, Attacker, some of these players, they're the Asian players. They have insane name. All right, it just comes naturally to them. The problem is I've seen with this team is tactically, they aren't able to maintain this level of tactics. I see them being outplayed. I see them doing dumb moves. And I always think to myself, man, if they just didn't make silly mistakes and if they actually were able to read their opponent and rotate correctly and not push everything, how good of a team they would be. Honestly, they are insane aimers. But you know what? This time, I'm just going to put them on here. And I think that with the assumption that they've worked on their tactics, that they've worked on the maps, that they have said, okay, listen, we can't play so loose. We got to play more structured or whatever. I think that they should be able to make it through. And I hope they make it through because they have a lot of potential on their team. So right here, there you have it. These are the 8 teams that I think are going to make it through. Now, let's talk about the ones that I don't think are going to make it through. Or rather, let's talk about the one that I think is not going to get a win. And I think that is Syman Gaming. I am just not convinced. I think they made it here, which is a huge accomplishment. If you made it here, that means you're doing something right. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm not a believer. They've had some good relatively good results online, but I look at all the other teams and I just don't see a team that they would be able to best. Now, I could be wrong. Of course, this is probably the hardest one to choose who's gonna go who's gonna just not even get a win. And it could be any of these teams, right? You just show up, you're having a bad day, or they're completely out of practice for some reason. Easily one of these good teams could make it 0-3. But regardless, and this is not to say I'm not trash talking Syman Gaming. You know, I have mad respect for all these teams for working hard to get here, especially the lesser known ones as well, ForZe and Crazy and Syman. I mean, INTZ, Dream Eaters, Greyhound Gaming, all these ones that are like a little, not as known, right? But are kind of coming up. They made it here, and that's a huge accomplishment, so good on them. All right, let's talk about some honorable mentions real quick here at the end of the video. These are two particular teams that I think, or rather 3 teams that I think also have potential to make it through, but I wasn't 100% convinced that they would. Avangar. I was originally going to put Avangar in the place of Helraisers. Solid team, but, wasn't convinced. I think the Helraisers on paper are better. INTZ, if I'm saying that correctly, the other Brazilian squad has the infamous Kanji. I think Kanji as a player is crazy good. If he wasn't so controversial outside of the game, I feel like he would be on the top team for sure, hands down. But alas, he is on this team, and let me tell you something. I have a feeling that they could do some good things here. They are really inconsistent and actually haven't had much results. That's probably why I can't even consider them, contenders to make it out of here. But I do have a bit of a feeling that they have potential for sure. And then Complexity, they're good. They had a decent showing the last major, or the major before that. One of them, can't remember. They had a pretty good showing, a pretty surprising showing at that. I think Complexity have always had potential, have some pretty solid NA players, but I don't know. I don't think that they are in the form that they were about a year ago. So with that in mind, I couldn't put them on here. Anyways, let me know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, these are just my opinions. You don't have to agree with them. Don't trash talk me for not putting a team you liked or whatever. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe, turn on the notification. I'm going to be uploading a little more. Tell me below what you want to see. That really does help us. So thank you all for the continued support, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.